I'm sure you have been in a group of people before where one person stands out. This person seems to have a unique and positive aura about them that immediately captivates those around them. It's something invisible and yet so tangible. This energy is so attractive that it immediately captivates you. We are all searching for this aura, but only a few of us actually find it. Listen, brother, today I want to share something extremely important that underlies this aura. Some call it charisma, but if you dig deeper, you will discover that something far more potent and powerful is in them. What I'm about to share with you today isn't a secret, but it's something that a lot of people only gain after a lot of life experience. Again, life experience. I'm talking about authenticity and why this will benefit your life in many more ways than you ever imagined. You've seen other self-help videos before, but this isn't just another one of those. If I were like most other creators in this niche, I would have given you a video on some random 10-step guide to be more confident. I would edit it with a bunch of quick cuts, but this video is not like that. This is going to be straight to the point, no BS. You see, authenticity is one of the secrets behind the concept of self-actualization. If you've ever explored self-improvement, you might have heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Abraham Maslow was this psychologist who published a paper, A Theory of Human Motivation, in 1943. World War II was raging on both fronts. The Soviets had just won the brutal Battle of Stalingrad, and America was capturing islands on the Pacific Front. It wasn't exactly the time when most people wanted to explore themes that Maslow wanted to talk about, but he did, and thank God for that. The most famous aspect of Maslow's paper was the hierarchy of needs, a pyramid that was topped off by those needs which led to self-actualization. This term was actually coined by a guy called Kurt Goldstein, and it means to becoming a holistic being, that you and your environment are part of a greater whole. Others interpret self-actualization as the idea of reaching your full potential in life. According to Maslow, self-actualization involved personal growth, self-improvement, fulfillment of potential, creativity, pursuit of meaning, and inner talent. So where does authenticity come in? Well, brother, it's tied deeply to every single one of these needs. Seriously, look at those needs again. Being authentic as a person is a core part of almost every one of them. So if you are someone who's been trying to work on your creativity or personal growth goals, you might be shocked to see how much it helps. And if you're like me, you might instantly want to learn what it takes to start living authentic. And that's why this next point is so important. You see, authenticity transforms who you are as a person. I was aware of the dictionary definition of the word, but I still felt like I didn't fully understand what being authentic really meant. It felt a bit vague and open to interpretation, so I started researching the topic, and what I found was super interesting. I stumbled upon this paper by Kernis and Goldman, which divided authenticity into 4 components. Awareness of your feelings and motivations. Unbiased processing, where you try your best to interpret information objectively. Behavior, whether you act consistently with your values or instead focus on pleasing others. Relational orientation, being your true self in relationships. I was slowly starting to realize that authenticity was way more important than I gave it credit for. I started thinking about all the people I ever admired in my life. Those special friends and colleagues who left a lasting impression on me. You know what I found? I found that literally every one of them had this one common positive trait. I realized that more than charisma, attractiveness, or humor, authenticity was what I valued above all else. And the crazy part, no one was talking about this. You know, my favorite way of looking at authenticity is to think about it like it's an inner light that constantly shines through. It makes you stick to your values and beliefs. You don't give in during arguments just to keep the peace. At the same time, you listen to valid criticism because you are objectively interpreting things. As Dr. Ramani Durvasula says, you can view it as the power of being comfortable with who you are. But that's tough because, as she goes on to explain, being authentic can also cause you to lose relationships because you're no longer performative. This is particularly true if you are in a relationship with a narcissist or deal with narcissistic people in your life. Being authentic with them can be extremely difficult because you are no longer towing the line. You are a threat, and people will try to shut you down and shame you. This is something I learned the hard way. When I first started to try being my authentic self at work, it didn't go well. But just that small dose of speaking my truth, of showing the real me, was like I had an epiphany. Even if I had to shut up and conform at work, I realized that there were so many other areas of my life that I could start being authentic. And the point I'm about to make is very important. All of us are inherently authentic in our childhood. But then your parents, teachers, and the world start telling you what you can and cannot say, do, think, and even feel. Don't mistake me. I am not trying to say that being authentic means you insult people because that's who I am. No, being authentic doesn't give you a free pass to being a jerk. What I'm saying is that these small restrictions start to trickle deep into who you are as a person. It causes you to hide your true self from the world because you are afraid it's not socially acceptable. You only open up to your best friends, but it doesn't have to be that way. You have a right to speak and live your true self far more than you currently do. The interesting part is that at a subconscious level, we're all aware of this truth. It's why people hate car salesmen and politicians. We long to see authenticity so much, even if it means it's from someone who breaks the rules a little bit, who might be loud, but is true to what they believe in it. So how exactly do you get on this train? Trust me, it's actually super easy, and I'm going to show you how to do this in just a moment. But before I get to this, I wanted to ask you if you have ever come across a super authentic person, maybe someone from your circle of friends or family. How did their authenticity make you feel? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know where it hit you. The first thing you should know about living more authentic is that it starts with understanding yourself. Jordan Peterson has a very simple way that you can check your authenticity level.
My sense has been that you can tell when you're saying something that's not authentic by feeling out whether or not it makes you weak or strong.
If you try this and start to feel like you have a tough time being authentic, then Socrates had the best advice. He said, to find yourself, think for yourself. This is the way. You begin by cultivating that deep desire to know who you are as a person. The way I did this was to start thinking about my beliefs because they influence so much. What did I believe about myself? What are my talents, my weaknesses, my blind spots? When I did this, I had to remember to be honest. Listen, brother, even when you try this, remember not to lie to yourself. If you are gifted at something, own it. If you are a genius at coding or at sports, then recognize it. The same thing goes for your weaknesses. Humility is important, but not at the cost of being inauthentic. The key thing is that you start being aware of authenticity because that vigilance works better than you imagine. When I tried it, I was very quickly finding situations where I would pause and realize, wait, I don't like this, I'm pretending to, why am I doing that? Or I would be talking to someone, and if they recommended me a band I didn't like, my usual response would be, nice, that genre is very interesting, I'll be sure to check them out. But the truth was that I wasn't going to check them out. I would have no intention of doing so. So why did I want to lie? These days I feel like my response would be far more authentic, and if the same situation happened again, I would reply, I'm not a big fan of that genre, but thanks for the recommendation. I wasn't insulting them or their taste in music, so why was I afraid of asserting my preference? The first few times, it's a little uncomfortable because you feel like you are being combative or disagreeable for no reason. But brother, let me tell you, it's so nice. I feel like my shoulder can rest easy because I'm not living under the weight of 100 different half-truths and silly lies every day. But at the end of the day, there is one side of authenticity that can be a deal breaker for some, and that's understanding the price of authenticity. Living authentic comes with a cost, and trust me, brother, it is one that you have to be sure you want to pay. Like I hinted at earlier, you are going to have a lot of pressure from society to conform, and that can affect your relationships quite a bit. Turns out that most people these days prefer the safety of an inauthentic, polite relationship. It's kind of like swimming upstream when everyone is swimming against you. You are feeling resistance at every turn, and that can be draining, it can be exhausting, and if you aren't in a good headspace, you just might want to give in and conform. How do you counter that? Well, here are a few ways I found helpful. The first one might be surprising, but it's to ensure your physical health is being taken care of. Your body affects your mind so much, it's actually crazy. I won't lie, man. There have been times when I would choose to be inauthentic with someone, and I always regretted it. But what I found super interesting about these moments was that they often happened when I was feeling tired or hungry. So my first recommendation to you, if you want to maintain your authenticity, is to take care of yourself. Get your 8 hours of sleep, brother. You've heard this so many times already, so just trust me. A full night's rest is a free superpower that you really don't want to miss out on. And If you go to the gym already, that's great, but ensure you aren't just sitting on your butt the rest of the day. I used to go to the gym 4 times a week, but recently started to throw in a step goal of 7K a day. Likewise, I cut the junk food, and I feel like I have enough energy in me to deal with uncomfortable situations where I might be tempted to conform. These steps made it so that I wasn't fighting a two-front war with the other front, obviously being my mindset. And this is where I want to take you back to what I said earlier about self-actualization. Honestly, I don't think I can call myself a self-actualized person yet. I think very few people truly are. But I can confidently tell you that I'm on the path most of the time. In my opinion, life is too short to go about acting like you aren't who you really are. Yes, you might lose some friendships and relationships, but if they only existed because you wore a mask, was it even worth it?
How much are you willing to tolerate when they're not advancing and they're not moving forward? You get to a certain point where you realize you can't carry everyone.
Listen, brother, you deserve to be valued and loved for who you are, not for the image you think people would like. You might feel vulnerable when you first start out doing this, but man, there are few things as amazing as feeling comfortable in your own skin. And I also want to mention that this entire theme of striving to be the best version of yourself is also connected to a previous video I made, which I'll leave in the description. Keep your chin up, brother, because you don't have to fake it anymore. Love yourself as you are, but don't be blind. Acknowledge both your flaws and your strengths, and strive to be the best version of yourself until your true identity shines bright.